ready as I will ever be. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the SongBike Guitar Q&A live stream number 48, I believe. Here we are, Saturday, May 18th, 2024. Hope you guys had a great week. I had a great week, and I'm here for your questions. So if you have a question for me, and I hope you do, put it in the chat with a bunch of question marks in advance, and then I know you are asking me a question. My name is Jonathan, by the way. And I have a handful of things to talk about in between your questions. I also have a poll that we just started. Very simple question in the poll, which is, do you guys come back to watch this live stream later on? And your options include, nope, one time is enough, got it, all set. Another option is, yes, I come back to watch this live stream because I can't stick around for all 2 hours. Totally understandable. Another option, yes, I come back to watch this live stream to review certain things that went on during the live stream. Got it? Or yes to both of those reasons, because you can't stick around for 2 hours, but also because there's some specific stuff you want to review. And remember, everything we talk about is time-stamped in the description to this video. And I try to get to that as soon as possible tomorrow morning. Already in the description of tonight's video, are a bunch of things I'm going to refer to, some links and some stuff. So if you haven't noticed that, I don't know if you guys can access the description to this live stream as you're watching it. I think you can. And so you'll see some links and stuff in there already. Okay, so in between your questions, here are some things that I want to share with you. These are some new information, some follow-ups to previous live stream topics. Okay, in no particular order. Thanks to a suggestion from one of you guys, Scott Rhodes, it might have been you, I set up a Discord server. It's a way for us all to chat outside of this live stream. So the link to the Discord server, or the invite, so to speak, is, it's in the description of this video, but I'm gonna put it in the chat right now. Now, I know not all of you use Discord or are aware of it, but hey, why not start now? Okay, so I'm putting it in the chat too. Now that invite in the chat should allow you to join the Discord group so we can continue this conversation outside of this live stream, but also you guys can talk to each other and say, hey man, I like that thing you said, or I like that you teach tap dancing, or something like that, you know? Okay, another thing I want to share with you guys. A very cool idea, fact that I saw shared on Instagram. Music is cross-training for your brain. Ooh, I want to tease that apart a little bit. I have a great quote of the week. It's a very simple quote, but I was so happy to hear one of my in-person students, high school kid, said it, and I thought, oh, I got to share that with you guys. I have a dumb question of the week, my own personal dumb question for you, and we're going to pull that apart a little bit. I have created a Spotify playlist of the original versions of the songs that we use for our play-alongs. Does that make sense? For instance, last week we did the song called You Ain't Going Nowhere, written by Bob Dylan, but made famous by the Byrds. So the playlist, I'm going to put a link to that too. The playlist is like the original version of that, well, the Byrds version, and the original versions of the 40-something tunes that or 20-something tunes that we've done already, because my hope is that you guys will play along with the originals. I mean, that's like, what's better than that? Okay, so, and again, I know not all of you take part in Spotify, but if you do, I just put in the chat a Spotify link with all the original versions of every tune we've ever done in our live stream. Of course, I have a play-along song of the week for you guys, which will tie into our chord family of the week. I want to talk to you about this ear training app. I've been meaning to talk about this with you guys for a few weeks now. I want to share with you six of my current favorite YouTube videos, some great guitar players that some of them are a little bit new to me, or they're new to me, or they're recent in my experience. I want to share their names with you and some links to some of their YouTube videos, some very cool stuff. Oh, I want to follow up on what we talked about last week with AI. Both someone asked in the chat or brought up in the chat the whole notion of AI writing our songs, right? Writing songs for us. Very interesting. So I want to follow up on that. And I have an AI app to share with you guys, which is super interesting. I've just scratched the surface of it, but oh man. So a lot to talk about in between your questions. Okay, so let me say a few hellos. Thunder Ace, hello. TSA, Time Surfing Alien, hello. Scott Rhodes, of course. Randy, hello. Matt Delahunt, Bruce, hello, you guys. Thanks for being here. And there we go. Okay. And while you guys are here, don't forget to take part in the poll. We have 17 votes already in the poll. Excellent. And we have 29 viewers. Beautiful. Love it. My friends, on a personal note, I have a goal to reach 100 simultaneous viewers. All right, so we got 28, 29 right now. That's awesome. So you can spread the word. Just tell people, hey, this guy does this thing on Saturdays. It's kind of cool, and we can get that number up to 100. Just because it's a big round number, and why not shoot for the moon, right? Charles, hello. Chuck, hello. Okay, so let's get right into it, you guys. Don't forget, if you have a question, put it in the chat. I'm going to put this in the chat right now. Moises.ai. Okay, check this out. Moises, Moises. I hope I'm saying it right. Moises.ai. It is an AI app that separates the drums, vocals, guitar, bass, piano from your favorite songs. So you can isolate the guitar part or remove the guitar part so you are the guitar player. Either way, this blows my mind. Not that the technology blows my mind, although it's wonderful technology. It's the fact that you can just get it on your phone. Oh, and just do it on your phone. And I've done it. Oh man, I've used it on my desktop computer primarily. They give you a few sample tunes. It's free, but there's a paid version, which I'm sure is I'm sure it's worth it. I probably will end up getting it. So imagine any song that you have saved on your phone or on your desktop, right? That you have it, you listen to it. I believe you have to own the song, so to speak. I don't think you can connect it with Spotify, at least not the free version. So, but let's assume you have some music downloaded on your phone, right? You don't have to be online. You can hear it anytime. Okay. Think of one of those songs. Now, that song running through the app, you can remove the guitar part, or you can isolate the guitar part. You can remix the tune. You can make the piano louder. You can, take out the vocals and make it instrumental. Oh, so cool. So I can foresee myself using that app with students so that they can hear the guitar part very clearly. Sometimes that's a game changer because the music is mixed, right? And the mix doesn't always have the guitar as loud as we all, as guitar students, would want it, right? So the idea of that is great. Joseph, I see your thing about the invalid invite. Okay, I have a plan B. If that invite link doesn't work for Discord, bear with me. Try this one. This, I believe, is this gets you to the SongBike Discord page, and maybe you can just join it. I'm new to Discord, so bear with me, you guys. Okay, so I put a second Discord link in the chat, and Joseph, give that one a try. You guys are my guinea pigs. We'll figure it out. Everything gets figured out eventually. When I was in the fire department as a volunteer firefighter, one of the many things I learned was every fire goes out eventually, right? They all do. Thunder Ace said that the Discord link worked for you. The original one, Thunder Ace, it worked for you? Okay, so go figure. Go figure. Okay, so getting back to this AI app, talk about a cool use of AI. I don't pretend to understand the technology behind it, but Uh, and maybe this is not new. Maybe there are lots of other ones, but this is the first one that I've heard of that we can all just get on our phones or on desktop computers. Okay, so just to finish my thought, I can imagine isolating the guitar part so we can hear more clearly, but I can also imagine removing the guitar part so, we are the guitar player. Does anyone remember? You got to go back a few decades. There were LP records called Music -1, and just what it sounds like, you'd get it. I had a drumming version, and I think it was one side of the LP was the songs with the drums, and the second side of the LP was the songs without the drums, and you were the drummer. Oh, I thought that was the coolest thing. Music -1. Yeah, so this is, the 21st century version of that. So that's something that you all can consider. At a minimum, it sure is fun to play with it, to say, "Ooh, wow, listen to that bass line. I never really noticed that bass line before. What would it sound like if I remix it? If I boost the bass, if I tone down the vocals a little bit." Or, one of the ones that I did, it had a track called Other, which I think in the track that I was listening to, it was a string part, a violin or orchestral part. So it was fun to boost that up in the mix and really pay attention to it, Hey, Ralph, welcome. Live to Fly, welcome. So you guys check that out, Moises.ai, Moises.ai. You can head over to their website and download the app. Guitars in Deserts, watching from Portugal on a holiday. Wow. Now, Guitars in Deserts, it is really late at night, right? You up at like midnight or something in that ballpark? Let us know what time it is. Thank you for being here. We've got to make it worth your while. Okay, you guys, let's make this a great show. I see we got 29 people here from all over the world. So let's make this a great show. Okay. Other things that I want to share with you. And don't forget, if you got a guitar question, put it in the chat. There's an Instagram page I follow that's called Music Teacher's Guide. I don't know too much about it. I think that there was a couple of posts that I liked. I thought, I'm going to follow this person, Music Teacher's Guide. And one of the things that caught my eye recently was this notion of music as cross-training for your brain. I thought, oh, I love that. I love that. Cross-training, right? You're a swimmer, but you go to the gym and you lift weights. You're a swimmer, but you go jogging, right? You're a runner, but you also swim, and you guys get the idea, cross-training, right? So when you think of music as cross-training for your brain, right? Sure, the physical coordination, right? Of course, I'm going to discuss this from a guitar player's point of view, but this would go for each instrument would have its own little twist. When I think of cross-training and I think of what the guitar asks of us, two hands doing completely different motor skills, right? Completely, unless you're, say, both hands are tapping on notes on the fretboard, which is very cool. But the two hands doing completely different motor skills. Now that's unique, right? On piano, the hands are doing the same motor skills, right? Saxophone, same motor skills. Drums, same thing. Guitar, completely different motor skills, right? Picking and fretting, So right there, the idea of cross-training, you're starting with the premise of a variety of motor skills. Then you add in the timing element of music. Music happens in real time, like sports, right? Unlike other arts, which presumably you can take a step back and look at your painting. You can put down your pen from writing the great American novel and come back to it an hour later. Music, it's either happening in real time or it's not music, right? So the idea of cross-training, pushing you to act in real time, where even a millisecond, it makes a difference. I joke that when the baseball is coming right at your face, there's no time to philosophize, right? When the song is about to change that F chord, you better be ready for your F chord, reading music while you're playing it, you know, obviously that's going to engage a different part of your brain. So all of us, at whatever level you're at, whether you got your guitar yesterday or you've played your whole life, just think of what your the neural pathways that are being created, reinforced. I don't know. There's so much going on in our brains, right? So anytime you sit down with your instrument, you're doing cross training for your brain. I love that so much. Charlie Beagle, hello. Music Fan is our moderator. Music Fan, thank you for being here. Music Fan is asking me to check out Chuck's comment. Chuck, were you asking about the address or the name of that AI thing, Moises.ai. There it is. I'm putting it in the chat. Moises, MOISES.ai. And again, for all I know, that's just one of 100 that are out there, and I hope there are. But this just came to my attention. I never tried an AI app that can separate tracks of a song into vocals, guitar, bass guitar, piano, other drums, you know. Oh, so fun. So I'm just checking out what you guys are talking about in the chat here. Don't forget, if your question is aimed at me, please put it in the chat. Chuck, I see that you are building a cigar box guitar. Very cool, very fun. Chuck, you know what would be a nice little addition since you're building him a guitar? There's a book, and it's a very cool book about cigar box guitars. I think it's called something like a poor man's guitar, poor man's something. I'm so sorry I don't have that. I'll try to remember to grab it for next week's live stream. But just that little cherry on top of the cake. You're building a cigar box for your son's college graduation next month, and in case you're looking for one more cherry on top when you give him that present, that is a very cool book that I got as a gift. There, you know what? I have played one. There was a company called Daddy Mojo. Put that in the chat. And a million years ago, I saw them advertising their cigar box guitars. And when our music shop, my wife and I started this music shop in 2006, and I said, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be fun to be a dealer of Daddy Mojo cigar box guitars, and reached out to them and you know, started doing business with them. And Daddy Mojo is still around, so check out Daddy Mojo cigar box guitars. Chuck says he has no idea I'm doing this. I hope he's not watching the live stream right now, but very cool, Chuck. It sounds like a lot of fun. Oh, so Chuck, what you're talking about is a kind of thing. It'd be kind of cool. You know, I told you guys I set up this Discord server so SongBike could have a chat outside this live stream. If you could post a picture, you know, that would be kind of cool. I know you can't. I don't think you can post a picture in the chat, but when you're all done, or even before you're done, you could post some pictures of the work in progress, and that would be very cool. Oh, and Chuck says the next one you're going to do is a fretless cigar box guitar. Yeah, why not, man? Slide guitar, you know, why not? Why not? Yeah, Scott says you can post a picture on Discord. Okay. And you guys, if you've never used Discord before, no big deal. Just head over to the Discord website, DISCORD, Discord. It was very hard for me to not put an H in there, being a musician. You know, there's no H in the Discord website, DISCORD. And Scott, it sounds like you are an expert in Discord. So if anyone has any questions, post them in the chat and Scott can help you out. Scott says, I do some work with an AI project in my day job. It's interesting to see behind the curtain a bit. Bruce, I see your question. I'll get to it in 1 second. My friend who owns his own marketing business he turned me on to using AI as a marketing tool, and it was very fun because it generated ideas so quickly. And that part I found super beneficial. It gave me 20 ideas, and only 2 were useful, but they were really good ideas. So I couldn't even tell you, in 60 seconds, I had 2 great marketing ideas, and I could just dismiss the other 18. Who cares? Didn't cost me anything, didn't take any of my time, What was less successful but still interesting is having AI write marketing copy. And my friend, entered a bunch of relevant information and asked relevant questions. And the marketing copy, sort of promoting what I do with music, it was kind of over the top. It was like, Jonathan will guide you on a heartfelt musical journey as you enter the spiritual realm of the guitar. And it was trying too hard. So that was, but that can be tweaked and stuff. I'm not particularly interested in AI speaking for me, but again, generating ideas. It was a very cool thing to watch. To tell ChatGPT what I was trying to do, and then to see the ideas bang to start flowing. Very, very cool. Thunder Ace says, Jonathan, you should make some more channels in your Discord. If you want help, just ask. Thunder Ace, I appreciate that. I just had one to start off, and I may well ask you. I also have a 19-year-old son who I'm going to start with him because I have a feeling that he can set me straight. But Thunder Ace, thank you for your help, and I definitely can use help, and I'm open to help. Okay, let me answer this question here. Bruce says, Jonathan, how do you approach writing original guitar progressions or melodies? Ooh, great question. And that ties in with my dumb question of the night. So, Bruce, I am going to answer your question, but I'm going to start with DQ. You guys know what DQ stands for? DQ stands for Dairy Queen, but it also stands for dumb question. I ask dumb questions so you don't have to. Okay, so the dumb question of the night that will lead to answering Bruce's question is, why learn all the music rules, about music theory, when everybody just breaks them anyways? And they do. Okay. And I can give you examples, but there we go. Okay, so the dumb question of the night. Why learn music rules when everyone breaks them anyway? So let me give you an example of a music rule. Song is in the key of C, and so you play C, F, G chords, or 1, 4, 5 chords, C, F, G. Maybe you throw in an A minor, and everybody's happy. It's a song in the key of G, and you did song in the key of C, C like Charlie, and you play chords in the key of C, and it sounds like a conventional song, and there you go. It might even be a hit song. Why learn those rules? Like what's acceptable in the key of C, when all of a sudden you learn some other song that doesn't even follow those rules, and it's a great song. It's a dumb question. Why learn the rules of music? Why bother? Just you're gonna write your own songs anyways, and you're gonna make judgment. It's gonna make you're gonna choose chords based on your musical taste, and it's going to sound great when all is said and done, and you don't even know the rules. The Beatles didn't take music theory lessons, composition lessons. Why learn the rules when you're just going to break them, or you're learning songs out there and you realize, hey, wait a minute, that guy didn't follow the rules. I'll give you a quick example of a song that still kind of, it's not that it blows my mind exactly. It cracks me up. Good old Hey Joe by Jimi Hendrix. That was one of our first play along songs weeks and weeks and weeks ago. Okay, what we have here, Hey Joe, a C to a G to a D to an A to an E. It's like they're just throwing out major chords, man. Who wrote this song? C. Hey Joe, there's the G. Here comes D. Where your A, going with that E, gun in your hand. hey, Michael Fisher. Hey, Deborah. So, like, what key is that even in, right? C, G, D. It's like they took 5 chords, just keep working on those 5 chords, and after 8 beats in that E, it starts over again in the C. What kind of chord progression is that? E to C. So, when I learned Hey Joe, I was like, okay, all bets are off. Like, if you can write a great song with just 5 major chords, which make no sense, which just keep sort of going around the circle of fifths, a C to G, that's the jump of a fifth. G to D is a fifth. D to A is a fifth. A to E is a fifth. Okay. You know, it's like a crazy merry-go-round or roller coaster. And somehow the E major chord going back to C, that's okay. It is okay. It sounds great. But like, what music rule does that follow? You know, I missed that memo. I missed that chapter in the book, you know. So why learn music rules if you're just going to end up breaking them anyways? Okay. So on the one hand, you could argue, don't learn music rules. Don't bother. They're gonna put limits around you. You're gonna be writing a song and you're gonna think, well, I can't do that chord because it's non-diatonic, right? That's the official name. Can't do that. You're gonna start saying to yourself, like, here's all the things I can't do, right? So on the one hand, don't learn music theory. Don't learn all that stuff. You're just gonna put limits on your brain. On the other hand, you have to learn rules because there's rules. You can't live life with, you know, it'd be anarchy, it'd be craziness out there. You got to learn the rules of music. Like, come on, you don't have to go to 8 years of advanced academic training at the PhD level, but you got to learn the basic rules of music. Otherwise you're just some joker who just, you know, just does whatever Marty Schwartz says. Or ultimate guitar, and you're just like, I don't know, I'm just putting my fingers where they say, and I hope, like, if I just practice enough, it's going to sound good. I don't know why I'm doing it, you know. And of course, there's a whole gray area in between. Thunder Ace says, I like rules because it's fun to break them. Yeah. So, so to get to your point and to answer your question, I want to answer the question that was asked. Hold on. Okay, Bruce said, Jonathan, how do you approach writing original guitar progressions or melodies? You know, because I know enough music theory to get me into trouble, right? I know that C, F, and G go together. I know that if I want a minor sound, I got A minor, D minor, and E minor to throw in there. I know enough music theory to write a conventional song. And I also know slightly more advanced music theory, which means say I'm in the key of C, right? I know that instead of doing an E minor, which would be diatonic, it would be keeping in the key of C, I could do like a C to say an E7 chord. And that E7 chord creates this tension. It's a non-diatonic chord, but an E7 chord creates nice tension that likes to be resolved by an A minor chord. And that A minor, well, I'm back in the key of C with that A minor chord. So I know that I don't want to call that advanced music theory, but, you know, the next level of music theory, where I know how I can get out of the diatonic options and get into other stuff. And the only problem, Bruce, in my creative mind, is I feel like it's been done before, and it has been done before, for sure. You know, so it's tricky to come up with something that's original, right? It's tricky. So how do I approach it? Sometimes I just accept it. I accept that, like, well, I know once I get started on something, I have the first 1 or 2 chords, especially once you have 2 chords. You have 1 chord, you're humming along with a C chord, the sky's the limit. It might not even be in the key of C. C could be the 4 chord, C could be the 5, who knows? As soon as you add that second chord, you're starting to put a frame around the picture, so to speak, you know. Sometimes I just accept that, yeah, you know, I'm going to stay in the key. I'm going to play the 1, 4, and 5 chords as majors, and the 2, 3, and 6 chords as minors. And I might not even have all those chords, but if I have majors and minors, yeah, sometimes I just accept that, you know what, it's going to be that kind of song. It's going to be a conventional song. It's not going to take an hour to teach it to the band, you know, so to speak. The band's going to be like, oh, you know, it's a 1, 4, 5 with a minor chord thrown in or whatever. Other times, I purposely try to get a little funky with it. And let me see if I can give you a good example. Even though I maybe, for example, would start on a C chord, and the next chord is G, I don't rule out any possibility for what the third chord might be. I let the melody dictate that. Once I know what the next melody note is going to be, I think, okay, what chord, which chords, multiple, which chords have that note in them? So C to G. Say the next chord I'm singing, the next note I'm going to sing is the note, let me think of a good one here, is the note E. Now, I've already used my C chord, I used my G chord, I'm about to sing the note E. I know I have a few options. Let's say I don't want to go back to the C chord, even though C has E in it. I know A minor has an E note. And okay, C, G, A minor, that's okay. I'm not bending any run. Yeah, it's a conventional chord. But C, G, A major has an has an E note in it. And, you know, A major, like I didn't see that coming. C, G, A, we're getting into Hey Joe territory here. Meaning like, I don't know why it works, but it might work. C, G, E, E major. E major is not a chord that's diatonic to the key of C or the key of G, but I don't know, like I don't want to rule it out, you know? So I just, by keeping an open mind, see if I can wedge it in. Bob Dylan said once about George Harrison's songwriting that George Harrison had a gift of like putting in a chord that shouldn't work, but it does, you know? And he said it admiringly, you know? And he's correct. I mean, I see where he's coming from there. I can think of, you know, certain, I feel like a lot of George Harrison compositions have chords that like, oh, like what gave him that idea? But once you hear it and, you know, you can't, it's perfect. Okay. Let me give you another idea because Bruce, I just spent all that time talking about chord progressions, melodies. Okay. Here's something that I've done. Say I take a two chord progression. I'm in a C mood here, so I'm going to say C to F, and maybe I have an idea for what to sing over that C to F. You know, that's something that's appealing to me. I might even have a phrase or something. I might record myself doing the C to F. Let's say it's 2 counts in each one, and I just record myself doing this. I already have one idea for the melody. I record that maybe for 60 seconds. Then I sing along with it. I come up with alternative melodies, additional melodies, without the guitar in my hands, almost like absent-mindedly humming along with it. I've come up with some, I think, cool melodic ideas by singing along with a recording of myself. Things I might not have come up with. I don't think I would have come up with if I was in there strumming with my hands. Something about getting the guitar, getting away from the instrument. And to tell you the truth, it's like I'm just a singer. Like, what would a singer do with this? Singers are, you know, I think singers for sure have their own way of looking at things. They want to sing, man, and they want to, all that training, all that experience, they want to put that to use. And songwriters don't often think that way. I think songwriters, they're seeing this big picture. They're working with whatever limited vocal abilities they have, maybe. And I think when you put down the instrument and listen to a recording of a loop, so to speak, of the chord changes, you will come up with melodies, I feel strongly, that you would not have come up with otherwise. So that's something that I've done. And for sure, whether, you know, they're hit songs or not is a different story, but for sure I've come up with interesting ideas that I would not have come up with if I was strumming the guitar, you know. So that's definitely something I recommend. So yeah. Okay. Thunder Ace is putting in some advice about Discord. So definitely, Thunder Ace, you sound knowledgeable. So everybody do what Thunder Ace says. Beginner Guitar Lessons is in the chat with us as our moderator tonight, along with Music Fan. Thanks for being here, Beginner Guitar Lessons. Joseph, don't give up on Discord. Rock Lobster, welcome. So anyways, Bruce, I hope some of those ideas help you. The thing about knowing a little bit of music theory is it gives you ideas of what conventional choices are available to you. You know, C to F to G, thrown in A minor, and nothing wrong with conventional choices. We all pay good money to hear recordings and to go see bands that are making fantastic music with conventional choices. You know, it's popular music, right? And yet there's examples of stuff out there that people put square musical pegs into round musical holes, and it works. And I don't know, you know, sometimes I don't know why. But I trust my gut. If it sounds good, it is good. And I just happen to use Hey Joe as an example of that. Okay, let's get to the chord of the week. The chord of the week. Young man, high school age. He's doing great on the guitar. And to keep things fresh and interesting, I said, okay, let's do something in drop D tuning. I said, let's do Cinnamon Girl by Neil Young, which again, Cinnamon Girl was one of our, let me check my notes here, back at Livestream 32, if you're keeping track, we did Cinnamon Girl. And Hey Joe, by the way, was Livestream number 27. You can go back and watch all this stuff. Don't forget, a link to all the previous live streams is in the chat. The playlist, there's a YouTube playlist of all our previous live streams. So I said, okay, let's do something different. You're doing great. We're going to do Cinnamon Girl. And what's interesting about Cinnamon Girl, among other things, is drop D tuning, right? You loosen your fat string down to D. And he looks at me and goes, you can do that? And he meant it like, whoa, the guitar just got that much more interesting. Like you can just change a string to a different note. And that's how I heard it. And that's how I'm choosing to interpret it. And I was so happy. I'm like, yeah, because like, I guess for a minute, I was right there with him. Like, yeah, man, isn't that amazing on the guitar? You can just tune a string differently and get a different sound. And that's chord of the week, man. Chord of the week. I just like where he was coming from. Just something in his voice, you know, like, wow, you know, something. You're starting to wrap your head around this world, and all of a sudden the world has got a lot bigger. Oh, I loved it. Made me so happy. Made me so happy. Okay, Rock Lobster. Thank you, Music Fan. Rock Lobster, I'm scrolling up to find your question here. Rock Lobster says, on the average, how long would you say your students take lessons for? Excellent question. You know, a whole big range. I've had people take a few lessons. I mean, I've taught for 32 years, so I've seen it all, my friends. I've had people take one lesson and just disappear. You know, I get ghosted. It doesn't happen too often anymore, but I mean, just in 32 years, yeah, sometimes people just disappear, never to be heard of again. I mean, I hope they're alive and well, but every once in a while that happens. What's more common and realistic? A couple years. I've had people, in general, people take a few years of lessons. That's very common. I've had students who feel like they have enough to do, and they're at a place where they want to just play, and we have a conversation. They say, look, I've had a great time with you. Life is good. I'm happy. I got plenty to keep me busy. I'll see you down the road when I need more stuff. And that's great. That's terrific, you know. I've had other people, frankly, who just get too busy, you know, like a change of job, other life stuff, and they just can't make a commitment to it. So I've had people who feel really guilty because they're coming every week, but they're just not practicing at all. And I get it. I get not having time. I get feeling a little bit guilty, although it's nothing personal. I don't take it personally, but I get the frustration. Uh, but to answer your question, I would say in general, students take lessons for a few years. Um, I've had people take lessons for a few years, take a break, and then come back for a lot more years. One of my students, Matthew, I'm thinking about you. Matthew started lessons 4 years old. 4 years old, I believe. Took a whole bunch of lessons, took a break, and then came back a few years ago and has had years of lessons since. So he currently has the record. uh, yeah, but all of the above. I mean, anything you can imagine. I've seen it all. I've seen it all. Uh, and just so you know, any guitar teacher, you might have a teacher right now, or you might have a teacher in the future where you take a handful of lessons and then you feel a little bit awkward taking a break from lessons, or just not. Maybe the teacher wasn't right for you, but you've got to get out of the situation, right? Um, you can always tell the truth, and just say whatever the truth is. Or you can just say, hey, thanks for the lessons. My life is getting super busy. I'm going to practice what you gave me, and I'll see you down the road. And you're out. So whether you're taking lessons from a teacher right now and you need to take a break for whatever reason, or if you're somehow hesitant to take lessons from somebody because you're worried, like, what if we're not a good match, or whatever your concerns are. There's lots of ways. 50 ways to leave your lover, 50 ways to leave your guitar teacher. Ooh, I should make a TikTok about that. 50 ways to leave your guitar teacher. But any experienced guitar teacher, they've heard it all, and they've got a bunch of other students. You got to just, it comes with the territory as someone in this type of profession. So yeah, just say, hey man, thanks for the stuff. I'm super busy now. I don't quite have the time to practice, but I'll see you down the road. End of story. That's fine. It's fine. Don't, if the truth is somehow difficult to say, then just say that. And maybe that is the truth. You're busy, man. You could enter the situation, by the way, and saying, hey, I'd like to take a bunch of lessons this summer. That's what fits my needs. Can I take a handful of lessons with you this summer? Teacher says, okay. And then you've got a finite thing. Then you can decide at the end of the summer, do you want to continue or not, I want to say thank you to Rock Lobster for your super chat. I appreciate that. And Bruce, thank you for your super chat as well. Super chats are one way you all can support what we're doing here in our live stream community. It's that little $ down at the bottom of the chat. Rock Lobster, I hope that answers your question. Basically, I've seen it all, and usually people stick around for a few years, just in general, Blair, did I say hello, Blair? Welcome. Pooba John, welcome. Pooba John says, when I change the E to D, it messes everything. Never do that again. It's like jumping in the deep end of the pool. As soon as you start messing with the strings, I know. Even if you do it perfectly, and say your fat 6th E string, you got it perfectly to D, you may want to go back and check the other 5 just in case they've got tweaked a little bit, just by the difference in the tension. It's worth it. It's worth it though. Retuning to play an alternative tuning, so to speak, is totally worth it. But I get it. It can throw it. It rocks your world. Zoologia Zombie, hello ZZ, welcome back. From Poland, right? How soon do you introduce music theory to your beginner students? Great question. Like circle of fifths. Yeah. Does it help or does it confuse them more? In general, I do music theory on a need-to-know basis. I love talking about music theory. rarely in the heat of the moment during a lesson, rarely do I think to myself, oh man, I want to get into the music theory of this thing we're playing right now, take a break from the physical skill and talk about the music theory. Or, hey, as soon as we finish this thing, I think I'm gonna open up, music theory and do 10 minutes of music theory with a student. Now, both of those things are perfectly good approaches, but in general, I don't introduce music theory much in lessons, period. I know it sounds weird, right? I know. Here's why. For better, for worse, I'm so hung up on helping people develop their physical skills. I feel a little bit guilty wanting to talk about music theory so much when someone's like working on their F chord, working on their bar chord, working on playing G the way I bug people about playing G. I so much want people to get those physical skills advancing, having songs start to flow, that I would feel a little bit guilty if I said, okay, we've done 25 minutes on the song, and now let's take a break and spend 15, 20 minutes talking about music theory. So when do I make exceptions? When someone asks. As soon as you ask, then we're off to the races, because I love talking about it, and it's good to know about. With students who are ready, here's what I mean by that. Let's say a student is doing great on a song. It's not done yet, but there's nothing left to talk about in a physical sense. They're doing everything I could possibly ask. Then I might say, hey, by the way, let's talk for a second about what it means that this song is in the key of C. So I guess then, that's a moment when I do talk about it. But your question specifically said, what about my beginner students? So the short answer is, by definition, like what I consider beginner, they don't even need to know music theory. Nope. No, I don't even talk about it at all. So I guess you could say one way I define an intermediate student is they're ready to hear a little bit about music theory. Either their physical skills have come along far enough that, hey, we got 20 minutes left in the lesson, let's take a break and let's use your brain in a different way. Or maybe they're starting to get curious. They're like, okay, they've got some chords down, they've got some scales down, they have this stuff. Oh, so for example, I'll give you a concrete example. Let's say someone's been working on their major scales. They know a couple of different major scales up and down the neck, their pentatonic scale. I might say, hey, you know what makes a major pentatonic different from a major scale? Let's talk about the music theory, So in my mind, if I'm having that conversation, that person must not be a beginner anymore, If the student said something like, aren't there major scales? Like, why are you showing me pentatonic scales? I thought scales like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Why are we doing pentatonic scales? Or what makes them special? Then I'll say like, oh, since you asked, let's compare a major pentatonic versus a major scale. You all know the difference, right? What makes a major pentatonic different from a major scale? Sure you do. Someone put that in the chat. How is a major pentatonic scale different from a major scale? You guys know it. I can't wait to see your answer. Joseph says, I learned both sides now by joining Mitchell in open D tuning this week. Also into other keys and standard tuning. Yeah, fun. So Joseph, you're taking an interesting approach. You're taking one song and learning it from different perspectives. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, love it. Love it. Scott, I see your question. I'm going to scroll up to make sure you're next in line, so to speak. Okay. You guys know I always say this. If you ask a question and time is ticking by and think, why didn't you answer my question? I'm just multitasking. Go ahead and put it again. Okay, Scott Rhodes has a dumb question. Well, Scott, we will see if it's a dumb question or not. Scott says, DQ, dumb question. Do all guitars on the same song have to be in the same tuning? He says, I sort of know the answer to this question because he's starting to play baritone guitar, but he's curious about my answer though. And I bet you know what I'm going to say. No, they all have to be in tune, right? All the D strings, if they're tuned to the note D, they have to be exactly in tune to the note D. But no, what we're talking about here is layering guitar parts. And yeah, now you're thinking like a composer, like a studio musician. So imagine a song's in the key of D, and you record a track with the appropriate chords. It says D, Helpless by Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. Some of you might remember Helpless from, that was the very first play along we did, play along number 20, on Livestream number 20. Okay, so some of you might remember Helpless was 2 counts on a D major, 2 counts on an A major, and 4 on a G major. And that song is in the key of D. You could describe it as a 1 chord, going to a 5 chord, going to the 4 chord for 4 beats. Okay, so let's say you record yourself playing and singing with that arrangement right there. Now, you retune your guitar, or you grab a different guitar. Maybe you're lucky enough to have multiple guitars and one of them is already in open D tuning. Well, open D tuning, obviously, by the name suggests, you just strum it and that is a D chord, right? Just open. The default sound is a D chord, So imagine adding on, overdubbing a second guitar part in open D tuning, right? The D chord would be open strings. The easiest way to play the A chord would be just a big old bar at the 7th fret. If I were in open D tuning, that's the quickest way to play an A major chord. And a big bar across all 6 strings at the 5th fret, that would be a G chord. And there you go. Now you have 2 guitar parts in 2 different tunings, and the results can be very cool. So not only are you allowed to do that, but my understanding is that that's a really common thing, especially say you're a studio musician. You guys might be aware of this. During the pandemic, there are some studio musicians, maybe a lot of studio musicians, who were still working. They were just doing it over the internet. So someone would send them a track. Hey man, here's my recording of guitar, bass, and drums. Can you do your thing, work your magic? And that was how they could make some money during the pandemic, during lockdown, right? Add on a bunch of different guitar tracks to use as possibilities, send them back to the songwriter and say, hey, I recorded whatever, 2, 3, 4, 5 different things, see what you think, and nice working with you. So I'm sure, my gut tells me that those studio musicians would record a variety of, using a variety of guitars, potentially in a variety of tunings, layer a bunch of things. Certainly this is what I would do. and then let the songwriter, producer, whoever, pick and choose what they like, if someone reached out to you personally and said, hey man, I love what you do, would you do this for my track, now that we're all locked down and hanging out waiting for the pandemic to pass. Presumably they like what you do already, right? They're reaching out to you because they know you and they've heard what you can do. And so they wouldn't be shocked to get a return track from you with a bunch of possibilities, and they can pick and choose which ones they like and stuff. How fun would that be, right? So, yeah. Here's another one, and Free Fallin is a good example. Free Fallin, you guys might remember, was our play along track on Livestream number 24.3. You remember way back when we do a live stream and sometimes it would get interrupted? My old internet would fail. Yeah, so Livestream number 24 was one of those. We had to do it in parts. Free Fallin, I'm going to illustrate that real quick right here. This is not different tunings, but this is showing how guitar players work as a team. I'm going to take a wild guess and assume it was Tom Petty himself playing Free Fallin with a capo at the 3rd fret. Right, that's the heart. That's the heart of Free Fallin, right? And then I'm going to assume it was Mike Campbell on the second guitar. No capo. Getting a lower version of the same thing, but doing what looks like totally different chords. And they visually that is a totally different chord, but musically, it's still, it fits perfectly in the track. So you have to listen pretty closely to hear two different guitar tracks on Free Fallin', but that's what's going on there. And so there's an example of two guitar players playing different stuff, but thanks to the capo on one of the guitars, they totally blend together just fine. What I just did, I will put that in the chat. But just so you guys know, I'm doing this is what Mike Campbell added to Free Fallin', to my knowledge. Don't yell at me if you're Mike Campbell's best friend and you understand this differently than I understand it. A really easy version of F. No first skinny string whatsoever. Just ignore that first skinny string. B string, second string, first fret. G string, third string, second fret. D string, fourth string, third fret. And you're going to strum just those three notes. That's an F chord. That's all you need for an F chord right there. You're going to add, for the second chord of Free Fallin', you're going to add your pinky, third string, third fret. Hear that? It was an F chord, you just suspended it. It's now an F suspended chord. F, F suspended. Now you're going to reverse that. F suspended, back to F, and then good old C. Okay, so there you go. There's one of my favorite examples of two guitar players, both doing really simple stuff, but it blends, it meshes together. And that just, I mean, that's one example. So same tuning though, same tuning, but playing two different things. Happens all the time. And I like how you're thinking like that. Like, yeah, layering guitar tracks. We all hear it more than we even know, you know. What typically you don't hear is two guitar players playing the exact same thing, both playing the same C chord. A friend and I have been playing a lot recently, and as we work out some of the tunes we're doing, out of the corner of my eye, I see him playing the same chord I'm playing, the same voicing, the same grip, you know, a C chord, just C. I think, got to figure that out. Can't play the same thing as each other. One of us has to change, you know, for the challenge of it, if nothing else, you know. Poopa John says, does it matter if I play a D major chord at a higher octave? Will it match the one in first position? I think it's a great idea. So 12 frets, 12 is the magic number. Anything you know how to do, you're allowed to move it up 12 frets. 12 frets is the same exact chord, same note, same whatever, one octave higher. So yeah, so do it. One thing to watch out for. A lot of guitars, lots of guitars, the intonation is not perfect. Even though you tune it up and life is good and things sound great, your playing sound great, it's possible as you go up the neck, it won't be perfectly in tune anymore. That is adjustable. Don't worry about it. And if your guitar is perfectly in tune everywhere up and down the neck, great. If, as far as you can tell, it sounds good and it's not bothering you, then don't worry about it. But don't be shocked, especially if you're recording yourself and you're strumming a D down here, and then you overdub a high D 12 frets higher, and something just sounds out of tune all of a sudden. You're not crazy. It's extremely common, and whether it's acoustic guitar or electric guitar, it is adjustable. In general, I would suggest going to a guitar tech to have that adjusted. But you can watch YouTube videos and see how to adjust your intonation yourself with good old solid body electric guitars. I mean, on my Telecaster, it's those 3 screws right there that control the 3 brass saddles. That's how this Telecaster, this particular model, that's one way to intonate it if your intonation is out. But that's not the only way to do it. I don't want to open up a big can of worms. in general, I bring my guitar to my guitar tech, and he takes care of stuff like that. But you can watch YouTube videos, number one, just to educate yourself on what the guitar tech is looking at, what they're doing. And then, hey, if it's something that you can do on your own guitar, go for it. Go for it. It's not rocket science, but it's a can of worms that I'm not ready to open up at the moment. But Poopa John, that's a great question. Okay, scrolling, my friends. Okay. Zulogia, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate that very much. I really do. Okay, my friends. How are we doing on time? Oh, just about time for our play along song of the night. I'm going to check off a few things on my end. Everybody having success with it, getting on Discord? I hope you are. Okay. Check. How are we doing on our poll? Let's check in with our poll. The poll question for tonight is, do you all come back to watch this live stream later, like tomorrow or during the week? And here's where we're at the moment. 15% say, nope, once is enough. 15% says, yes, I do come back because I just can't stay for 2 hours. 45% says, I come back to review certain things. Excellent. And 25% say, yes, I come back for both of those reasons. I cannot stay for 2 hours and to review certain things. Very interesting. Love it. Love it. Okay, check. Okay. All right, let us do our play along song. This song was a request from one of my students a while back. By my standards, this is a new song. It's a couple years old, but for me, that's new. For this song, you are going to need a capo at the 3rd fret. But if you do not have a capo, or if you feel brave and you want to do it without a capo, that's great. Why not? It's that much harder without a capo. Okay, so I always try to keep this preparation segment short, and I don't always succeed. I'm going to keep trying. Okay, our song of the night, Havana by Camila Cabello. I hope some of you know it. If you don't know it, you're in for a treat. Okay, so this song, number one, I like this song. Number two, if you have a capo, put it behind the 3rd fret and look at the entire song. E minor for 2 counts, C for 2 counts, B7 for 4 counts. That's the entire song. Okay? That's my kind of tune, especially for our purposes right here. E minor to C to B7. You guys are okay with B7, right? I hope you are. I'll put a diagram up here while I'm writing a diagram. If you have a capo on at the 3rd fret, you don't have to just play the chords. You can solo using the E harmonic minor scale. Now, this is specifically if you have a capo on the 3rd fret. Okay, so all these numbers are relative to the 3rd fret. The E harmonic minor scale, perfect scale for soloing along. And there it is in the diagram. On your bass, low E string, 6th string, 0, 2, 3 on your low E string, 0, 2, 3 on your A string, and 1, 2 on your D string. That's 1 octave of the E harmonic minor scale. Okay, there's your B7 chord up there. Can you see that? By the way, a little bit of a coincidence, we saw these same 3 chords in our play along song from Livestream 45. I Heard the Angels Sing. That Reverend Gary Davis blues tune that we did had the same 3 chords. Slightly different order, but hey, is it a coincidence? Kind of, but kind of not. Okay, so if you are playing with a capo on, and I am going to, you can play it like a beginner, and I mean that in the best sense, which would just be 2 strums on E minor. There we go. 2 strums on C and 4 on the B7. we're going to go about that speed. E minor twice, C twice, and B7 4 times. That's the entire song, right? Now, I'm going to stay with that structure. You can't change the chord sequence of a song, right? You can't change the timing or the chords, but I may have a little bit of fun with it. So what I just do right there, I'm on my E minor chord, capo at the 3rd fret, 6th string open, 1 strum on the rest of the E minor chord. Now I'm going to change to C, but all I'm going to do is hit the 5th string 2 times. Technically, I don't even have to hold down the whole C chord, but for me, it's just automatic. I just see the letter C, I just grab the whole chord. No matter what, though, just 2 strums on the 5th string. Then I change to the B7. I hit the 5th string again. That's the 2nd fret on the 5th string, the middle finger. And then I finish off that measure with some B7 strums. Check this out from the beginning, E minor. Oh, here we go. So you may hear me doing kind of like that type of more syncopated, a little more interesting. I'm kind of strumming the E harmonic minor scale with the capo at the 3rd fret. That's that 1st octave. See that little thin double bar line right there? Anytime you see a thin double bar, that's separating 2 concepts, right? It means that one concept was introduced, you work on it, take a breath, and then you move on to the 2nd concept. Okay, that's the next higher octave of the E harmonic minor scale. 4th string, that's a D string, 2 4 5. 3rd string, 2 4 5. 2nd string, 4 5. Ooh, I'm kind of on a kick with these minor chord songs, right? Can't stop myself. Okay, we're almost ready to do this. For those of you who don't have a capo or just want to, ride bareback, okay, see where it says no capo? This is you. We're in a different key. Ooh, someone tell me, what key is the song in? The song is not in the key of E minor. The song's in the key of some other minor. Here's what I'm asking. If you take E minor and move it up 3 frets, that's what we're doing with a capo, what's the, quote, concert key? What is the song really in? Okay, so I'm going to put that in the chat. The key of E minor bumped up 3 frets, 3 half steps. What is the concert key, the true key? The key the piano player thinks you're in. By the way, the song has a nice piano part in it. Okay, if you're playing without a capo, here's the relevant harmonic minor scale. And in the open 3rd string, 0 2 3, or the G string 0 2 3, B string 2nd string 1 3 4. Got to use your pinky in that 4. Don't be a wimp. Give that pinky a reason to live. And the 1st skinny E string 2 3. So G string 0 2 3, B string 1 3 4, and easy E string 2 3. What key are we in? I'm going to scroll down. Anybody figured out? Yes. Beginning guitar lessons. You've got it. Randy, you've got it. Yeah. So the key of E minor bumped up 3 frets thanks to the capo, right? Each fret is a half step. E minor. It is actually in the key of G minor. And how did I work that out? E minor, up 1 fret, E turns into F. Up 1 more fret, F turns into F sharp. Up 1 more fret, F sharp turns into G, right? E to G. E and G are 3 frets apart, also known as 3 half steps. So the song is truly in the key of G minor. And I'm going to show you the chords in a second. Thanks to the capo, we are putting the song, well, our left hand, our fretting hand, thinks we're in the key of E minor because we love those chords. E minor, C, B7, it's beautiful, right? Okay, last thing before we start. If you are so inclined and you want to play without the capo, some really easy versions of these chords now that we know we're in the key of G minor. Okay, we need a G minor chord, an E flat chord, and a D7. And there they are right there. G minor, 3 treble strings, 3rd fret. Okay, just use your pointer finger. 1 finger should do it. It's too much trouble to use 3 different fingers. Every once in a while I see someone trying to do something with 3 fingers when it's just a lot more convenient to do it with 1 finger. That's your G minor chord. An E flat chord, don't freak out, it's just a D major chord up 1 more fret. So just play a D chord, D like delta, and glide it up 1 more fret. And that's your E flat chord. 3 on the E string, 4 on the B, and 3 on the G. There's your E flat chord. And lastly, good old D7. And technically, if you want to get technical, on the D7, you can include the open 4th string. And technically, you could include it during the G minor as well if you're so inclined. Okay, so you all playing this without a capo, you got G minor twice, E flat twice, and D7 4 times. Okay, G minor, E flat, D7, G minor, E flat, D7. Okay, you ready to go? Let's do it. I highly encourage any or all of you to do some improvising, either with a capo or without. As I play through this, I will leave some, I'll vamp on the chord changes, and that's exactly why I'm doing it. So you can put in some nice little lead guitar playing. If you want to do that, you don't have to do the chords, right? You can just get yourself prepped to improvise with a capo, doing those scales, or with no capo, doing that scale right there. And don't forget, you can always come back to this, or listen to her version of it, man. Crank up her version, play along with it, you know. Okay, so how's the guitar tone? Last week, the electric guitar tone was no bueno. Definitely no bueno. And I think it's better this week. No complaints. No complaints. All right. I see no one's complaining about the guitar tone. Okay. This song has been stuck in my head for a solid week now. You know, I always like it if I can get the guitar in this shot. Okay, we'll see. I got my legs twisted like a pretzel. We'll see. Deborah says the tone is good. Beginner guitar says it's a little bit low. Oh, we can always get louder. We can always get louder. Hopefully that's not too loud. I'd rather have the guitar be a little bit on the soft side if I had to err. All right, let's do this. Havana. On the count of 4. I'll see you on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Havana, oh na na. Half of my heart is in Havana, oh na na. She took me back to East Atlanta, oh, but my heart is in Havana. There's something about her manners, Havana, oh na na. She didn't walk up with that how you doing. She said there's a lot of guys I can do it. I knew her forever in a minute. And mama says she got the Marlowe in her. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I knew it when I met her. I loved her when I left her. Ooh, to tell her I had to go. Havana, oh na na. Half of my heart is in Havana, oh na na. She took me back to East Atlanta. Oh, but my heart is in Havana. There's something about Havana. She didn't walk up with that how you doing. She said there's a lot of guys I can do it. I knew her forever in a minute. Her mama says she got them all going up. Ooh, 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 ooh. I knew it when I met her. I loved her when I left her. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And then I had to tell her I had to go. All right, I hope some of you guys are playing some lead guitar in there, right? A chance to use that harmonic minor sound. What a cool sound, right? The harmonic minor scale. Okay, so thoughts, questions, comments, right? Fun tune, right? Let's talk about the chord family of the night. And what I want to do is I want to tie this in with the harmonic minor scale. For this discussion, I'm gonna talk about the song in the key of E minor. Okay, I know technically it's capable up, it's a key of G minor, but for our purposes, it's gonna be better to keep it in the key. It's gonna be more convenient for me to keep it in the key of E minor. The music theory is the same, no matter what. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna lose this page. You guys okay with that page? And you done with it? Actually, I could bump it over. I can give it back to you in a minute. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. We got, now this is gonna be quick. So those of you who are freaked out by music theory, don't worry, hang in there. I'm gonna have to move that, it's gonna fall, I know it. Okay. Now, I happen to know that an E major scale looks like that. Okay, an E major scale, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C, or C sharp, I should say, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E. E major scale has 4 sharp notes, and the 4 sharp notes are F sharp, G sharp, C sharp, and D sharp. By the way, how can you memorize that? Okay, here's a quick way to do it. The letter E, the big capital E, is very square looking, right? It has like 4 corners, you know, visually the letter E, big capital E, 4 corners. So because it's so square looking as a letter of the alphabet, that's how you remember that there's 4 sharps, because it's a big boxy thing with 4 sides, right? Okay, if that sounds like a dumb way to remember something, hey, it works. So the key of E has 4 sharps, just because the letter E looks like a box. How do you know which ones are the sharps? Just memorize. First class ghosts don't always eat babies. First class ghosts don't always eat babies. Or like beginning guitar lesson says, fat cats go down alleys eating bananas, whatever works for you. So we know that E, the E major scale has 4 sharps because of it looks like a box, you know, a square. And we know the sharps are, since there's 4 of them, we know it's first class ghosts don't, or fat cats go down, right? So all you really do is write the alphabet, E, F, G, the musical alphabet, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, and then you drop in the sharp signs. You know, that's the most convenient way to write down any major scale. Whatever you're starting on, just keep writing the musical alphabet, E, F, G, A, B, C, you know, until you get to back to the E again, you know, and then drop in whatever you have to drop in. Okay, E major. Now we know the song is in the key of E minor, or we're acting like the song is in the key of E minor. And specifically, it's the E harmonic minor scale. Who remembers that any harmonic minor scale involves flatting the third degree and flatting the sixth degree of the major scale? If we do that, we get E, of course, F sharp, of course. What used to be G sharp, we flat it. Now it's just the note G. Remember, to flat something, the verb to flat something means to move it down a fret, backwards a fret, lower a fret, however you want to put it. The A stays the same, the B stays the same. The C sharp gets flatted to a regular C. That's important. I'm going to underline that C. That's important. The D sharp stays the same, and we end on E, just like we thought we would. Okay, so there's your E harmonic minor scale with a little bit of perspective. It's an E major scale with two notes tweaked, two notes flatted. Now, the relevance of this. Remember, the song goes from E minor to C to B7. Okay. E minor is a triad, and the three notes of an E minor, I'm going to write like this. The three notes of an E minor chord, E, G, and B. And we can see them right there in the E harmonic minor scale, E, G, and B. Okay? Those are the three ingredients that go into an E minor chord. A C major chord, C, E, and G. Good thing we flatted that C sharp, right? There's that C that we needed that I made a big deal about. Okay? A C major chord, C, E, and G, totally legal and allowable and sounding great if we're basing a melody on the E harmonic minor scale, which we are, you know. So do you get what I'm saying? We're justified in using a C major chord in this song. Not only does our ear tell us it sounds cool, but look, it's just notes from the E harmonic minor scale. B7 is not a triad. B7 is a four-note scale, a four-note chord, no big deal. The four notes of a B7 chord, B, D sharp, F sharp, and A, all four of those notes are found in the E harmonic minor scale. And there you go, okay? Our chord family of the night, E minor, C, and B7. E minor would be nicknamed the one chord, but you write it kind of what they would say, like lowercase. C would be the sixth chord, or I guess, would you call it the flat six? I'm going to call it the sixth chord, because if we're basing this on the E harmonic minor scale, which we are, it's the sixth degree. I reserve the right to go back and call it the flat sixth in the future. Not sure. Okay, and B7 is the five chord. The five chord is the absolute most common way to create some tension in a song. And you need some tension in a song, otherwise it sounds like dentist music, right? You need a little, and I mean that respectfully to dentists. We want that calming dentist music. By the way, Roman numeral 5 with a little 7 next to it to indicate that it's not just a B chord, it's B7. Okay, so there you go. Little music theory connecting our play along song and the E harmonic minor scale. Okay, so I think I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. Every conversation starts with a major scale, and it might end with a major scale. In this case, it starts with a major scale. We apply the formula, and all this stuff is formulaic, you know. We apply the harmonic minor scale formula, which is flat the third, flat the sixth, and we get the E harmonic minor scale. From the E harmonic minor scale, these are three of the chords that we could that we could and did use for the song, you know. Just for the fun of it, since I see a big white, heaven forbid I leave any white space in this paper. How about another chord, an easy chord that we could play? Hey, say you want to write your own song with these chords, and like you should, you know. Here's another chord that would be totally legal and allowable. An A note plus a C note plus an E note. Somebody tell me, what do you get when you play an A, a C, and an E together? What chord is that, A, C, and E? The name of that chord would be what? Scrolling down. Anybody? An A note plus a C note plus an E note. What is the name of that chord? I know you guys know that. And while you're thinking, I'm thinking of another chord that's convenient to insert in there. Another chord you could insert. Oh, no, I already got that one. I was going to say B major. B major is just B, D sharp, and F sharp without the A. Yes, Ralph, you got it. Ralph correctly identified that an A minor chord would sound great in this family of chords. And A minor, we would nickname that 2, 3, 4. We nickname that the 4 chord because it's minor. We'd write it like a little lowercase. Looks like the letters IV, right? The 4 chord. And I'll leave it at that. Okay, you guys, fun, excellent. I'm curious. Did you guys know that tune? I mean, pretty big hit song. If I know it, it's a pretty big, hit song in terms of pop music. I'm curious if you guys knew that song already. If not, well, good luck getting it out of your head. You got to hear her do it. And if you knew it already, well, that's great. But I am curious if maybe someone could mention in the chat. A few of you could mention if you've heard that song or not heard it. I'm going to hydrate. And while I'm hydrating, reviewing our poll results. The poll question of the night. And we have 45 votes. Do you come back to watch this live stream later? 16%. Nope. One time is enough. 18%. Yes, because you just can't stick around for 2 hours. 42% still in the lead. Yes, you come back to this live stream to review certain things. And 24% say I come back for both of those reasons, to review things and because I just can't stay for 2 hours, which I get. I get that. I'm just curious. Okay, my friends, I'm going to return. Oh, by the way, every once in a while I like to throw this up. There's the list of the previous tunes that we have done guitar play-alongs for and which live stream we did it. So, for instance, Knocking Heaven's Door was live stream number 21. Okay, let's talk about my t-shirt. I will make these available to you guys and other products too. I'm just finalizing everything. The company I'm working with has been great. Great customer service, and I like the quality of what they're sending me. I'm waiting for a few more sample items, and don't worry, you guys I will let you know ASAP as soon as this stuff is available for you guys. I can't wait because I love this logo, and I have some other logos, some other stuff, so I'm very excited. So stay tuned for that, and I'm tying it in with my Patreon page, which is a work in progress as well. Beginning Guitar Lessons asks, could the E Dorian mode work well for soloing on top of Havana? And excellent question. It's not a bad idea at all. Let me just think for a second. The E Dorian mode is a D major scale, starting with focusing on the second note of the D major scale, which is E. So that would be the E Dorian mode, aka the D major scale. And it's not ideal, but just for for 2 reasons. And I'll make this short. I'm glad you asked it though. The E Dorian mode, same as the D major scale, has a C sharp, and we don't want a C sharp. And it has a D natural, a regular D, and we want D sharp instead. So in this particular case, the Dorian mode is not the way to go. But now I just learned something. I never thought about that before. So thank you for asking that, because now I'm realizing, okay, so if a song is built on the harmonic minor scale, the Dorian mode is not helpful. Yeah. Now I know something. I learned something too. One of the best ways to learn stuff is to teach it. I heard some story a million years ago, two monks teaching at some Zen facility, and they've both been teaching for 40 years, and one turns to the other and says, I think I'm just about understanding this stuff. I'm almost there. That sounds about right. Okay, so couple things before I forget. The Blues Guide. I always like to mention this because you guys are generous with your time and your money, and I love giving you free stuff. Don't forget, head over to song-bike.com, song-bike.com, and get yourself a free blues guide. And there's a free video that accompanies it. Especially if you consider yourself like you're not really a book learner, then the video shows you everything, you know. And even if you don't read regular music, don't worry. There's all tab and everything, and the video that comes with this will show you how things are supposed to sound. I'm really proud of this book, and I want you to have it, and it's free. So song-bike.com, and I'm going to put that in the chat. While I have your attention, I enjoy communicating with you guys using social media. So whether you are an Instagram kind of person or a Facebook kind of person, you can find me on social media. Just do a search for the term SongBike, all one word, SONGBIKE, and do follow me on Instagram or Facebook, because I got plenty to share with you, including if I ever have to delay or cancel or reschedule one of these live streams. I'd feel terrible if you guys didn't know and you're sitting around waiting for me. And somehow I managed to trap my zipper in the chair. I don't know. I found a way. Also, oh, John already knew Havana. You knew that song? Yeah, fun, excellent. I'll say it one last time. All the music theory I just did had to do with the key of E minor. Technically, Havana is in the key of G minor. I chose to teach this topic back in the key of E minor because so few sharps. You know, only F sharp and D sharp in the E harmonic minor scale. And I like using the C. Anything that involves the C chord is a beautiful thing. In familiar chords, E minor, C, B7, A minor right there. So, yeah. Okay. I want to follow up on a couple of things, and we have just enough time left. I'm going to try to wrap up at a reasonable hour before the sun goes down. Deborah, thanks. Deborah says, I always look forward to your live stream highlight of my Saturdays. Awesome, Deborah. I wish you even better Saturdays, where this is one of the highlights. I hope your Saturdays get better and better and better to the point where you're like, my Saturdays are incredible. That's what I wish. I teach students on Saturdays, but I also managed to get myself a nice big hot coffee and a Berliner donut pastry from the German bakery right over there. So, and I had a couple of cancellations today, so I didn't work, quote, quote, as much as I usually do on Saturdays. Yep, German bakery over that way. You guys might remember my accountant is over that way. My son's pediatrician is right outside the window. He's at that age where like pediatrician, but he's taller than everyone in the pediatrician's office, taller than me. I know, so he's on the edge there. But the pediatrician, German bakery, a new brew pub opened up next to the German bakery. So I'll be trying that out hopefully soon. A lot of action around here, my friends. Okay, it's a real hot spot. For small town Connecticut, it's Scott Rhodes says the quote of the day is me saying somehow I managed to trap my zipper in the chair. Yeah, but I got it out. How did I do it? I don't know. I find a way. Okay. I want to follow up on a couple of things that we talked about AI for writing songs, and what a cool subject. I'm glad someone brought that up in the chat last week. One of my reactions, I mentioned how many, especially big pop songs, can have 3, 4, 5 songwriters. And the reason I think that's relevant to the AI chat is that some of our favorite songs were written by committee, a committee of humans, but nevertheless, it was a bunch of people throwing out ideas, and at some point, whoever was ultimately responsible, they made final decisions and the song was released to the public, right? So given that multiple human beings collaborated to write a song, and we hear the end result that sounds seamless and beautiful and wonderful, and we love it. But it's such a, like the metaphor of how sausage is made, like who knows who contributed what line and what happened. It doesn't change how much we enjoy the song, right? Or even I'm thinking of melody and lyrics and chords, but what about when a band works as a band and the drummer does what the drummer does and makes their decisions, and the bass player makes their decisions, and you get all these personalities? The creative process is such a hot mess that the idea of AI contributing to that doesn't rock my world. It doesn't. Now, admittedly, if there's a song where AI did everything, I guess I would be curious, but I wouldn't. I'd be listening with such a bias against the song. I couldn't listen objectively. I'd be thinking, well, my assumption would be going in, I would assume that it's not going to be a very interesting song. If I didn't know it, yeah, I don't know. If someone said, okay, blindfold test, so to speak, what do you think of this song? Is it possible that any of us would say, yeah, pretty cool song, I love it, and then we find out later that it's AI? What are you going to do? But we're already listening to some music that, like I said, was the product of such a weird creative thing that we have no knowledge of. That I know it's not the same as AI, but you see what I'm saying? The creative process is a hot mess. How many times have you read an interview with a famous songwriter and they say, yeah, I don't know where the songs come from. They come from someplace else. I'm just, So if even when it's one songwriter who you're getting that person's vision, right? Even they cannot really necessarily articulate what happened to result in the song. To me, that's just more proof that we don't understand the creative process. They don't understand the creative process. And the idea of AI contributing something, why not? Why not? How is that different than the drummer saying, I have an idea for the third verse? I don't know. Now, having said that, of course, I think all of us value an artist showing us their vision. That's like, what's cooler than that, man? That's what we all want, right? I think that's like sort of the pinnacle of what it means to be a fan, an audience member. This person is like putting their vision out there, and we are inspired, moved, somehow affected by it, impacted by it, hopefully for the better. That to me, that's the whole point of being an artistic person, a creative person. But I'll be the first to admit that there's things that I like, and I have no idea how that arrived on my plate any more than I would in a restaurant. The final product is so good, I want to eat more of it. And if I saw how it was done, would that turn me off a little bit? Maybe there was a fist fight in the recording studio, and maybe someone had a great idea for a verse, but the producer, said, no, we're not going to put that on there, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I don't look forward to a world where AI is being relied on. Trust me, I don't look forward to that. But it's we're going to see it more and more. Well, it's going to happen more and more, and we may or may not be aware of it. What if someone wrote a great song, but they say AI did it, and because they maybe it's so personal, they say, oh no, that wasn't me, that was AI, but it speaks to me. Maybe they don't want to reveal like that really is them pouring their heart out, so they hide behind AI, and that'd be how weird would that be, man? People claiming it's AI and it's not. Oh, yeah, that'll happen. Trust me, that'll happen. I predict it. Okay, the example I was thinking of, Crazy Mama by J.J. Cale. That was the song I was thinking of. Love the tune. Very, very, just a great J.J. Cale groove. And there's a little drum machine clicking along in the background. What can you say, man? I'm not a fan of drum machines. I love that song. J.J. Cale somehow makes it work, That's not why it works, but it's part of the aesthetic of the tune, and I don't know. So The world is a complicated place. But anyways, that was the J.J. Cale tune I was thinking of last week. Okay, I'm going to take a moment because I don't want to get away from your questions. We have about 15 minutes left, and if you have a question that I have not answered, don't be shy. Go ahead and put it in the chat again. Beginning guitar lessons, I'm getting back to your question about moving something up to 12 and doing it up at 12. Yeah, you got it. That E minor pentatonic scale. Now, technically, I was showing it to you guys with a capo on. So that scale, say you wanted to play along with Camila Cabello, you would have to move that scale up. If you had the capo on the 3rd fret, you'd have to move this up to the true 15th fret of your instrument, 15, 17, 18, and so on, you know. But at that point, you might as well just be thinking of it as G minor, you know, because you can't play the open strings anymore. But yeah, I know that I use the term muddy the waters a lot because it's a good question, but I hope I didn't just muddy the waters for everybody. When in doubt, trust your ear, you know. Okay, Thunder A said we have 10 people who made it into the Discord group. Okay, so so good. That's awesome. My son will be proud that I made this happen. He was kind of surprised that I was cool enough to get a Discord thing going. So I'm sure he'll help me tweak it now that we're up and running. Okay. Here's something I've been meaning to follow up on for a few live streams. Somebody asked a little while ago about walkups and walkdowns, you know, that classic, you know, that type of sound, connecting chords with bass note runs. And I love teaching those, and I think those are incredibly important. It's how you have fun with your common chords. Remember, you can't escape C, G, A minor, D. You know, you can't escape those chords. One sign that you're making progress as a guitar player is you know all this fun stuff you can do with those chords, in between those chords, you know. And those bass note runs are a huge, significant thing. Whether you're going for that Johnny Cash kind of, or something that doesn't sound so much like Johnny Cash, but it still employs bass notes. You know, that type of thing. Extremely important. Okay, so why did I want to follow up on this? I will tell you. There are some skills, techniques, things that have so many possibilities, you can't just write them all down. There's so many ways to connect a G chord with a C chord using runs like that, that some things you just have to learn the principles behind the skill. And a few sort of classic examples, but chances are you're not going to find a video or a book or something with every possible way to connect two chords, or every possible bass note run or whatever. And that's okay. That's okay. So that's why when someone asks a good question like, hey, I forget the exact question, but you know, can you give some examples of connecting chords with bass note runs or walkups and walkdowns? A teacher like me can give you a few examples, but the principles are equally important. So just to recap, in general, what you just heard me do, I was emphasizing the root note of one chord and then moving upward or downward to get to the root note of the next chord, you know. And in between the root notes, I was giving a little bit of a strum, you know. So C to A minor, here's my C chord. I'm looking at my ring finger, 5th string, 3rd fret, that's the note C. If the next chord coming up is A minor, really common chord progression, C to A minor, I know the root note of an A minor chord is the open 5th string. So I want to connect the third note on the fifth string with the open third string. C, A minor. Okay, and if you think about it, I'm already on the fifth string, third fret. My options to walk down to the open string, same string, second fret, same string, first fret, and then there's nothing left, right? So I have to pick one of those notes, or potentially do both of those notes. Third fret, second fret, first fret, open, C. Now that might sound a little too chromatic. You know, chromatic is when you play every fret in a row. You know, regardless of what key you're in, you do it just because you can, you know. So this is where the principle comes in mind. First principle is know where your root notes are, right? Second principle, know which notes are part of the key that you're in and which notes are not. Fifth string, second fret is the note B. The way I'm thinking right now, I'm in the key of C. That's my starting point. I'm going to tell myself, okay, I'm in the key of C. I'm connecting a C chord with an A minor chord, very common. The note B is in the key of C. The note B flat is not. The fifth string, first fret B flat, that's not a note in the key of C. Doesn't mean you can't ever play it, but I'm making an aesthetic decision, a musical decision to not do that note. So I'm going third fret on the fifth string, that's the note C. Second fret on the fifth string, the note B, and then my open A that sort of introduces the A minor chord. And you can reverse it. Okay, so my point is that's the principle that I'm working with. You know, what notes am I allowed to play? What notes am I not allowed to play? So obviously we're getting into a little bit of music theory, but that's one way to figure out how to do bass note runs on your own. Because like I said, you're not going to find information on every possible, you know, way to do stuff. In this particular case, so you end up learning the principle instead, and combination of that and then trusting your ear. You know, okay, so I want to follow up on that little thing. Okay, Soaring Eagle. Soaring Eagle, I don't know if you're here tonight. I don't think I saw your name in the chat, but you asked a question, and I'm going to follow up. There we go. Soaring Eagle, 1 or 2 live streams ago, asked about exercises, stuff you can do for speed and accuracy. And I'll stick by my answer of scales and arpeggios, but how could I forget? How could I forget? Fiddle tunes, whether fiddle tunes that come from the Irish folk music tradition or the bluegrass old-time string band tradition. You got to practice your fiddle tunes, especially if speed and accuracy is a priority. So I have here in front of me my copy of The Guitar, Year One by me, Jonathan Kehew. I love this book. And one of the things in this book is fiddle tunes for guitar. So name this tune. Some of you might know it by more than one name. It's an example of a fiddle tune. I've arranged it to be kind of easy, but it's all about speed, accuracy, including down-up picking, including making good fretting hand decisions. 1, 2, 3. What tune is that? Name that tune, right? Who knows that one? You can get entire books of fiddle tunes for guitar. The emphasis is on speed, accuracy, down-up picking, fast fingers. You know, who recognize that? Da-ba-doom, da-ba-doom. Some of you may remember it from the Ice Cream Man because Ice cream trucks. There you go. Randy knows it. Oh, Live to Fly. You called it. Live to Fly. I didn't see your comment. I just scrolled down and saw your comment. The ice cream truck song. Randy, you got it. Turkey in the Straw. You know, those ice cream trucks, they can't go around playing copywritten material, heaven forbid. So they got to play Turkey in the Straw. By the way, before I forget, I got dinged by YouTube a few live streams ago. Could it have been Stirred Up? Number 44. YouTube came at me hard. I think that's what it was. The actual song doesn't matter. I think it could have been Stop Dragging My Heart Around. Okay. Bottom line is the minute I close a live stream, I got a message right away from YouTube saying you're going to be sharing monetization. You're going to be sharing the money of your from your live stream with the copyright owners of the song. And I don't remember. I think it was either Stirred Up or Stop Dragging My Heart Around. And because I quote covered the song in our live stream when we did our play along. So, you know, the play along is costing me money, man. What the heck is up with that? That's the only time it's happened. So what strikes me as interesting is YouTube, the algorithm, whatever you want to call it, it's listening pretty closely to what we're doing here. You know, I had not typed in, like I hadn't done the time stamping yet. So YouTube was picking up on me saying the words, whatever I was saying, the name of the song, and maybe me strumming the guitar and playing it. But this is fine. I mean, I get it, but it's wow. I mean, it wasn't like a week later someone noticed. No, it was instant. It was instant as soon as the live stream stopped. So there you go. Now you know. Okay. So fiddle tunes, so much fun. When I told you guys I worked in a little guitar shop during and after college, and that's the first I heard of guys sitting around using fiddle tunes to become better guitar players, whether or not they played that type of music professionally. It was just part of their practice routine to play Irish fiddle tunes. And I say Irish fiddle tunes, but you know, there's such a you know, the fiddle tunes immigrated to the U.S. and the names may have changed or did change, and the melodies may have changed a little bit or not. But it's a very fine line between Irish fiddle tunes and a lot of bluegrass tunes. Anyways, so as a young guy, a not very experienced guitar player, I got myself a book of Irish fiddle tunes and would work on those, focusing on the down-up picking, the accuracy, the speed, memorizing tunes. Or don't forget the flip side, instead of memorizing a song, being able to play it without looking at your hands. That's equally important. You know, in fact, if I had to vote, I would say it's a more important skill to be able to play without looking. That's actually more important than memorizing a tune, because you're not going to memorize every tune that you ever learn the rest of your life. You want to be able to open up a book and play without looking. In a perfect world. Then again, nothing wrong with memorizing stuff. That's great. Okay. Deborah Cohen, Irish Washerwoman. Is Turkey in the Straw a twist? I know that title, Irish Washerwoman. I don't know the melody off the top of my head, but I wouldn't be surprised. Yes, the ear training app. I haven't forgotten. Okay. So if in this book are two fiddle tunes, Turkey in the Straw and Cripple Creek, not the song by the band called Up on Cripple Creek, but the actual fiddle tune called Cripple Creek. I love this book. You should all buy it. The reason I love it is there's such a variety of stuff in here. When I call it year one, this is stuff that anyone who's been pursuing the guitar for a year or who plans on doing it for a year, these are things that are all within your skill level. It's going to take a little work, but like after a year, these are things that you should have tried out, picked a few that you really want to master. So these things include those two fiddle tunes. Just so you know, the other stuff you get include one finger blues riff, blues shuffle variations, mixing chords and scales together, finger picking 101, different pentatonic scales and blues scales, the Muddy Waters Blues riff. There's so much cool stuff in this book. I use this for teaching. Sometimes I'll just like photocopy a page right out of this book. I love this book. It's the culmination of the series. That was the Guitar Week one, the Guitar Month one, and the Guitar Year one. This is the one where you get a lot of bang for your buck. So if you're curious about this, www.song-bike.com. And if any of this stuff is like a little out of your range, just back up and get the Guitar Month one. Remember, these are electronic books, so you get the PDF. But if you want to print it out, you can always print it out and bring it to your local printing facility and have them put a binding on, knock yourself out. But you don't have to. You can just watch it on your computer. Okay, Deborah is reminding me that I keep running out of time, and tonight is no exception. But I can't stop myself. You guys should all check out a very cool ear training app called Perfect Ear. I recommend it. They don't trust me. They don't send me anything for recommending it to you guys. I just have dug into it a little bit, and I think it's very cool. There's a lot going on. Personally, I'm using it for being able to recognize like intervals and being able to like sing an interval and recognize it. Perfect Ear. Okay, there's things I don't use it for, things that I'm pretty comfortable with already, like rhythm training. My only training for real was as a drummer. I'm pretty comfortable with rhythm stuff. But the ear training stuff, oh man. Let me see if I can play this. Okay. And have you guys hear it. Oh. Okay, so okay, hold on. Okay, so the question here, and this is just one, if this is easy for you, don't worry about it. If this makes no sense to you, don't worry about it. This is just the first that came up. They're asking you to listen closely to these two intervals, da da, and the second one, da da, and identify which interval is a bigger jump, you know. So here's number one and number two. Now, to me, that seems pretty obvious. The first jump was higher than the second jump, right? So you click on the first one was a larger interview, and it tells you, you got it. So that's the tip of the iceberg. It gets more complicated from there, but just pushing you to listen carefully, to listen critically, and you learn some music theory along the way. Although they have a whole music theory section, and then of course you can keep track of your results and get a gold medal and earn points and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, but so cool. I don't think I should do it while I'm driving. That's probably a bad idea. But it's the kind of thing that I wish I could do while I was driving, Anyways, Perfect Ear. We'll be talking about that more, I'm sure. But I definitely encourage you guys to check it out. In fact, if you do check it out during the week, let's talk about it next week. You can tell me what you've been doing, ask me a question about it, what you enjoy about it, maybe what doesn't work for you, because I like it and I recommend it to everybody. Okay, as we are winding down today, I can't let you guys go without talking about some of the coolest guitar players on YouTube. In the description of tonight's live stream, I put a bunch of names and YouTube links, and I'm going to just, while I have you, I'm going to do it right now too. These are all people that I've heard of, and either knew a little bit about or didn't know much about. And I'm totally glad that I did check them out. Monty Montgomery. There's a link to Monty Montgomery. Cool guitar player, cool voice. Just seems like a nice guy. And you guys know I'm a fan of the Know Your Gear podcast, Phil McKnight and the Know Your Gear podcast, and he likes Monty Montgomery. So when I heard him mention him, I thought, well, check out this guy. Okay, so I just put that in the chat. Okay. Here's another one. Oh boy, I'm copying and pasting. Bear with me, you guys. From Mali, Vieux Farka Touré, son of Ali Farka Touré. Oh, so cool. In fact, the song that you'll see that Vieux Farka Touré is performing, I recognized from the album his dad did with Ry Cooder, which is a very cool album. Anyways, Vieux Farka Touré, check him out. Okay, how about Bombino? You have any Bombino fans out there? Oh, you gotta check him out. I wonder, you know what? I might try to put all these in one. Let's see if this works. Copy all these, and again, these are all in the description of the video as well. Oh, I think it did. I think that worked. Oh, it's too much. Okay, all right. Settle down, YouTube. Okay, I'll take this back. While I'm doing this, Bombino, super interesting guitar player from a long ways away. Oh, here we go. Getting Bombino in the chat, and who else? Leo Nocentelli. Okay, just put those two names in the chat. Leo Nocentelli and Bombino. The Meters from New Orleans. Some of you guys are familiar with the Meters. Leo Nocentelli, their guitar player. And I definitely recommend checking him out. Bombino, check him out. Okay, last ones here. I think I can get two more. One of my absolute favorites, Jake Xerxes Fussell. You guys have heard me mention Jake before. He has a new album coming out very soon. He's starting to release some of the singles off the album. And among the many things that I think are super cool about Jake is how he performs with a Telecaster, doing acoustic, acoustic folky stuff, but with a Telecaster. And he just has such a nice touch that you would never even know it's a Telecaster necessarily. So check out that video I posted from Jake and check out his stuff. Okay, one more. This is who I was listening to as I was setting up for today's live stream, because this is so good. And the music is, Okay, A.J. Gent. A.J., his last name is G-H-E-N-T. A.J. Gent. Check him out for some extremely cool slide guitar playing. One of the best compliments any musician can say about another musician, or any critic or any fan can say about a musician, is when they play their instrument, it sounds like the human voice. And when you hear A.J. Gent doing some beautiful slide guitar, it sounds like the human voice. I mean, it really so cool. And that's not something you learn overnight, man. That's something that comes from a very, very deep, very cool place. So check out A.J. Gent. Okay, so that I wish I could say more about all these people, but those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh my gosh, 6 people that I highly recommend checking out. And the same YouTube links are all in the description of our live stream here. Okay, you guys, we're getting close. We're getting close. Check. I'm checking off a bunch of things. Okay, I think we're in a good place. Whew, that went by fast. How was that 2 hours? More than 2 hours. How'd that happen? All right. Now it's Miller time. Something time. You guys, I'm going to say a few good nights. Joseph, Scott. By the way, Deborah's mentioned Julian Lodge. Yeah, I've given him a shout out before, but I'm sure I will again. The Discord link I think it's already in the description to this video, so you can find it there. So I'm going to say a few good nights. Joseph, Thunder Ace, Deborah, Scott, Michael, Randy, Live to Fly, LTF, Zoologia, thank you for being here. Rock Lobster, thank you for being here. We got 22 of you who are currently watching at the moment. Don't forget, we're trying to get these numbers up. So tell a friend. And why not tell a friend? Because it's going to happen sooner or later. But why not sooner? Get 100 simultaneous viewers. I would love that. Okay, before I say goodnight, let's go back to our poll results for one last time. Do you come back to watch this later? 17% say, nope, once is enough. 17% also say, yes, I do come back to watch this because I can't stay for 2 hours. 40% say, yes, I do come back to watch this to review specific certain things. And 26% say yes for both of those reasons, to review certain things and because you can't stay for 2 hours. And that is a great note to end on. So you guys, I will see you next Saturday, Memorial Day weekend. I'll be here. I don't have any big plans to go anyplace. I will be here, and I hope you will be too. If you can't make it because you're going someplace for Memorial Day, you got big plans, don't worry about it. You can always watch us later. It's all good. Okay. Goodbyes are so hard. We didn't use the looper today, but I did a little. I'm happier with the Ditto looper now. I think I figured out why we got getting some weird volume jumps last time. So I'm sure we'll use the looper sometime again in the future. In fact, I want to use it a lot in the future. Okay, you guys, I'm going to say good night. I hope you have a great week and a great Memorial Day weekend. If you can't join us next Saturday, but I will see you next Saturday. Hope you have a chance to play your guitar. Don't let your guitar get lonely. Go crank up Havana, Havana, and bang out those chords and play those harmonic minor scales. All right, you guys, thanks for watching. I will see you next time.